Sophia Rossi didn't like me. That was fine. As long as I liked her, that was all that mattered. Sophia and I had known each other since we were kids, growing up in the same gated community in Emerald Bay. You could almost call us childhood sweethearts if you squinted. If you ignore the years we spent in diapers, I'd been in love with her for over a decade. But Sophia Rossi didn't love me back. The person she was hiding in her heart was Leo Martinez, a scholarship kid. The year we turned 18, the Rossi family's company was suddenly facing a crisis. Looking across the entire Los Angeles area, only my family had the resources to help them weather the storm. The night before, I'd overheard my parents talking. They were planning on investing in the Rossi's company. They were just waiting for the right moment to maximize the benefits for our own corporation. The next day, I cornered Sophia in an empty hallway near the lockers. With a loud slap, I pinned her against the wall, mimicking a scene from some over-the-top movie. Sophia, I began with a smirk, my tone playful. I hear your family's company is on the ropes. My family can help your parents out. Interested? Sophia was our school's undisputed queen bee, her eyes shining like polished gems. Up this close, I could smell the faint, sweet scent of her perfume. I couldn't help but crane my neck and take a greedy whiff, feeling like the obsessive, villainous rival in a TV drama. My move made her uncomfortable, but she pushed down her annoyance. Wyatt, can you really get your parents to help my family? She asked, her voice soft. Of course, I answered instantly, pressing closer until we were almost touching. Her body tensed. She was clearly nervous, but she didn't push me away. But I can't help you for free, I said with a sly grin, my eyes locked on hers. She bit her lip, which was already flushed. What do you want in return? She asked, a hint of resentment in her voice. What do you think? I said, letting the words hang in the air, my gaze unapologetically aggressive. Anyone with a brain could figure out what I was after. Sophia understood perfectly. After a few seconds of silence, she took a quiet breath, her expression hardening with resolve. If you can save my family's company, I'll be your girlfriend. I couldn't hold back a smile. Those were her words, not mine. I didn't force her. I knew it would play out this way. Sophia was a devoted daughter. She would do anything for her parents. Deal. You said it, I said, my eyes drifting down to her lips. I leaned in to kiss her. Wait. She shot her hand up, blocking her mouth with the back of her hand. We need to set some ground rules, she said quickly. I'll be your girlfriend, but it has to be a secret. No one can know. We could date, but not openly. A cold feeling washed over me. She was afraid, not just for her reputation, but of Leo Martinez finding out. Everyone at our school knew that Sophia Rossi had a massive crush on the scholarship kid, Leo Martinez. She never admitted it, but the way she fawned over him practically screamed her affection. I'd asked her out once. She turned me down flat. Her family's crisis was my one and only shot. I had to have her, no matter what. They say you can't force love, but sometimes you just have to take what you want. Fine, I won't tell anyone. I agreed without hesitation. She let out a breath of relief. And it can't be forever. We have to agree on an end date. She'd really thought this through. An end date. I pretended to think about it. 3 years. No way, that's too long. She shook her head immediately, holding up 3 fingers. 3 months, max. I've been obsessed with Sophia for so long, I was losing sleep over it. 3 months. I could work with that. Besides, my parents are going to help her family anyway. I was just using the insider information to bluff her. And just like that, she'd walked right into the cage I'd set for her. All right, 3 months it is. I agreed instantly and leaned in again. This time, Sophia didn't stop me. Her lips were as soft as cotton candy, with a hint of sweetness I couldn't get enough of. At first, her body was rigid with resistance, but slowly, she began to relax into the kiss. When we finally pulled apart, a thin strand of saliva connected us for a moment. Sophia's face was beet red, and she quickly wiped her mouth. Come to my house tonight, I said with a wicked grin. Your house? She was hesitant. Yeah, I nodded, putting on a serious face. To my house. To help me study. She visibly relaxed. I had been watching her for a long time. In front of other students, Sophia seemed aloof and proud, but deep down, she was compliant. Once you got close to her, she was easy to handle. Back in class, Sophia immediately put her ice princess mask back on. I went back to being the resident bad boy. She sat in the center of the room, sharing a desk with Leo Martinez. I was in the back by the window, miles away from her. After our deal, Sophia started glancing back in my direction from time to time. When I felt her gaze and looked up to meet her eyes, I'd raise an eyebrow. She would quickly look away, pretending she hadn't been looking at all. Sophia, Sophia. Leo noticed she was spacing out. He had to call her name twice to get her attention. What's wrong? Are you feeling sick? He asked with concern. No one in our class knew about the crisis at her family's company, including Leo. Even if he knew, there was nothing he could do. He was a scholarship student who could barely afford to be at our school. He couldn't even take care of himself, let alone the Rossi family. No, it's nothing, Sophia said, shaking her head and looking down, burying her worries. Leo didn't press. He was just worried her distraction would affect her grades. He smiled and reminded her, "Don't forget, we promised to get into Stanford together, right?" Sophia paused, took a shallow breath to push her troubles away, and nodded. Evening came quickly. Sophia and I lived in the same community, so not long after I got home, the doorbell rang. Our housekeeper, Maria, answered it. A moment later, Sophia walked in behind her, wearing a white blouse and a plaid skirt, a backpack slung over her shoulder. From her slightly curled hair down to her red and white sneakers, every detail was perfect, screaming of a pampered, privileged life. The thought of being alone with her made my heart race. I got up from the couch and, in front of the housekeeper, drawled, "To my room, to help me study." I walked over to Sophia, took her hand, and led her to my bedroom. Once inside, I immediately locked the door to prevent any interruptions. Sophia scanned the room, then walked to my desk and took off her backpack. She pulled something out, clutching it tightly in her hand as she looked at me nervously, waiting for my next move. The beautiful girl was right in front of me. I walked closer and pointed to the hand hiding the object. "What's that? Show me." Sophia's face turned scarlet. She slowly raised her hand and opened it. In her palm was a small, square package. It was a box of condoms. She looked down, unable to meet my eyes, her face so red it looked like it might burst. I could only imagine how mortified she must have been buying these at the drugstore. I was stunned. I just wanted to be alone with her, maybe kiss a little. I didn't think we'd be moving this fast. But if she came prepared, it meant she was ready. If I didn't go through with it, she might think I was a coward. It's embarrassing to admit, but despite my reputation as a rich playboy, I was still a virgin at 18. "Sophia, you're so thoughtful," I said. The more I spoke, the redder her face became. She forced herself to speak. "From now on, you're in charge of getting these." I can't get pregnant," she mumbled. "Huh." She was adorable. I pulled Sophia into my arms, just wanted to hold her. But it turned out her foresight was absolutely correct. After hugging for a minute, I couldn't resist kissing her. And one kiss led to another, until I had her pinned on the bed. We crossed a line that night, both of us losing our virginity. Afterward, Sophia got dressed, walked over to the desk, pulled a notebook from her bag, and solemnly wrote down the date. I watched her from the bed, a goofy grin plastered on my face that I couldn't wipe away. After making her note, she turned around, pouting slightly, and brought up her family's company. "Don't worry. I'll convince my dad to help your family," I promised, puffing out my chest, knowing full well I wouldn't have to say a word. Reassured, Sophia relaxed. Then, she actually pulled out her textbooks and started tutoring me. An hour later, she packed her bag and left. Aside from the slight awkwardness in her walk and the damning crimson stain on my sheets, you'd never know what had just happened between us. In the days that followed, we continued to pretend we were strangers during the day. At night, or on weekends, Sophia would come over frequently under the guise of tutoring. On the 20th day of our secret arrangement, my father finally made his move. He not only invested a huge sum in Rossi Designs, but also secured several major contracts for them. Just like that, the company was saved. The business deal had nothing to do with us, really. But in Sophia's eyes, she had played a part. She truly believed that her sacrifice had prompted my push, which convinced my father to save her family. To show her gratitude, she even bought me a gift. One day, the elegant gift box was sitting inside her desk, and Leo happened to see it. He assumed it was for him, and his face lit up. But later that day, Sophia walked over to my desk with the box. "Wyatt, thank you for getting your dad to save my family's company. I picked this out for you. I hope you like it. I hadn't actually done anything, and in fact, I had used the situation to trap her. Now she was thanking me sincerely, and I felt a pang of guilt. I took the box, feeling a bit sheepish. Inside was a men's bracelet. I loved it, but I played it cool. I glanced at the gift, then looked up at her. I'll take the gift, but don't forget our deal. 3 months, not a single day less. Hearing this, a blush crept up Sophia's face. She nodded. I know. We have 69 days left. Holy crap. She was counting down the exact number of days. For some reason, that really pissed me off. As soon as she left, I put the bracelet on, my heart pounding with excitement. Getting a gift from the girl you're crazy about feels like winning a war. It makes you feel like you're floating. But that bracelet caught Leo Martinez's attention. Wyatt, where did you get that bracelet? He asked, grabbing my wrist after staring at it for a while. None of your business, I said, yanking my arm away and walking off. No way. Leo muttered to himself, frozen in place. It can't be. It's impossible. Sophia hates Wyatt. Why would she give him a gift? Leo had seen the gift box in Sophia's desk and remembered the picture on it was of a bracelet, one that looked just like the one I was wearing. At first, he assumed she had bought it for him, but she never gave it to him. Now, seeing me with it, the truth was staring him in the face, but his deep-seated belief that Sophia rejected Wyatt made him deny it. Sophia secretly giving Wyatt a gift? Impossible. It must be a coincidence, Leo finally concluded, forcing himself to believe it. He refused to accept that the bracelet on my wrist was a gift from Sophia. But a seed of doubt was planted. Back in the classroom, he mentioned it to her. Of course I didn't give it to him, Sophia denied, her cheeks flushing. She glanced back at me, remembering how I'd looked at her like I wanted to devour her, and added spitefully, I bought that bracelet for my dog, Archie. It looks good on him. Archie was the Rossi family's golden retriever. She was calling me a dog to vent her frustration. If I had heard that, I definitely would have done something to get back at her. Leo, however, knew about Archie and had no reason to doubt her. He accepted her explanation immediately and breathed a sigh of relief, never stopping to think how a men's bracelet would even fit on a dog. The days passed. During the day, Sophia gave all her warmth and smiles to Leo. At night, she gave herself to me. She also took it upon herself to seriously tutor me. My grades were all over the place, but with her help, I was full of motivation. After a couple of months, I had brought up all my weak subjects. Soon, 2 months had passed. We only had 1 month left as boyfriend and girlfriend. One day, I was in the bathroom and overheard Leo talking to another guy. So, Leo, what's the deal? Are you and Sophia Rossi a thing or not? The guy asked. Leo's reply was full of confidence. Not yet, but it's a sure thing. Dude, you're a legend, the other guy said. Even a rich kid like Wyatt Archer couldn't get her, but she's all over you. Heh, Leo scoffed, his tone smug. What does Wyatt know? You can't rush a girl like Sophia. You have to be patient, figure out what she likes, and make your moves slowly. Yeah, totally. Wyatt's got nothing on you. I waited until their voices faded before I stepped out of the stall, my face dark. It was clear that Leo Martinez, the hard-working scholarship kid, wasn't as simple as he appeared. To put it bluntly, he was targeting Sophia, not just for her looks, but for her money. He was just another social climber, hoping to marry into wealth. I left the bathroom, my mind racing. I had to find a way to keep Sophia, to keep her from falling into his trap. There was no way I was just going to hand her over to some gold digger. This is the last day, she said, her tone flat. After this, we're even. At the end of the 3 months, Sophia got up and coolly pulled on her clothes, declaring the end of our secret affair. Uh-huh, I mumbled, lying on my side and watching her through half-closed eyes, pretending to agree. In reality, my mind was already scheming. I had a plan. I had secretly taken pictures of us together. I could use them to convince her to stay. It wasn't exactly moral, but it was practical. For the next few days, we didn't see each other alone. Then, one afternoon in the cafeteria, I saw her and Leo leaving together. I got up, followed them, and accidentally bumped into her. As our eyes met, I gave her a look loaded with meaning. Sophia understood. She pursed her lips, then turned to Leo. You go on ahead. I need to run to the restroom. I can wait here for you, Leo offered, as they were practically joined at the hip at school. Don't, Sophia said, shaking her head firmly. She gave him a gentle push. You know how long girls take in the bathroom. Just go back to class. After sending Leo on his way, Sophia followed me. I led her to a secluded corner of the campus and once again pressed her against the wall. What do you want? She asked, her voice calm. This time, she wasn't flustered by my proximity. I didn't answer at first. I just leaned in to kiss her. No, she said, shoving me back with surprising strength. We're done. From now on, you are not allowed to touch me. I laughed, pulling out my phone. I found the intimate photo of us tangled together and held it in front of her face. Sophia, what's this? Her eyes widened in panic. You bastard, you took a picture? I put my phone away. You wouldn't want our classmates to see this, would you? I said with a sly smile. The threat was clear. She wasn't stupid. The truth is I was bluffing. Even if she said no, I would never have leaked that photo. The sight of her in that intimate moment was for my eyes only. But Sophia didn't know that. All she saw was a despicable person using a secret photo to threaten her. She was young and couldn't see any other way out. Terrified of the picture getting out, she felt helpless. After a moment, she took a deep breath, as if accepting her fate. She closed her eyes and tilted her face up, puckering her lips. A soft huff of air escaped her nose, a small token of her immense dissatisfaction. Her long eyelashes fluttered. She had surrendered, her body going limp as if I could do whatever I wanted. Like hell I was going to be polite. I leaned in, my nose brushing against the clean scent of her hair before our lips met. I drowned myself in her softness again, my breath growing hot. When we pulled apart, her cheeks were flushed and her brows were knitted together, but she was the first to speak about the terms. Her voice had a barely perceptible tremor. What do I have to do for you to delete that picture? Seeing her walk right back into my trap, I suppressed a laugh. I coolly pinched her chin, pretending to think for a few seconds. Then I looked up and slowly raised 3 fingers. Keep me my girlfriend for another 3 months. Sophia's mind flashed back to all the heart-pounding, inescapable moments between us. Her frown deepened, and she shook her head like a rattle. No, 3 months is too long, a month and a half. Max, her voice trailed off at the end, as if she were bargaining with herself. Nope, I shot back, rubbing her soft chin with my thumb. 2 months. That's my final offer. 20 days. I really can't do any more, she pleaded, biting her lip. I saw the redness in the corners of her eyes, and my heart softened for a second, but I held firm. We finally settled on 1 month. She sighed in relief, while I celebrated silently. 1 month was more than enough time to wrap her around my finger even tighter. Sophia didn't realize it yet, but she was never going to get away from me. For the next month, she went back to come into my house to tutor me. Our parents knew about it, and both families couldn't have been happier. In their eyes, we were the perfect match, the heir to the Archer fortune and the daughter of the Rossi family. We were the golden couple, and they were just waiting for us to get together. My mom especially adored Sophia. Every time she came over, she would hold her hand and fuss over her. She'd even scold me in front of her. Sophia is such a sweet, sensible girl. If you dare bully her, you'll have me to answer to. Hearing that, Sophia's eyes would light up as if she'd found an ally. She'd secretly stick her tongue out at me, a perfect mix of cute and proud. In private, she'd tug on my sleeve and complain, "Your mom said you're not allowed to bully me, but you're always such a pervert." I couldn't help but laugh. I pulled her into a hug, resting my chin on top of her head. It's only being a pervert if I don't take responsibility. I've already picked out names for our kids. How is that not responsible? You're talking nonsense, she sputtered, looking up at me with wide, indignant eyes, her cheeks puffed out. She looked like an angry little bunny. Seeing her like that melted my heart, and I pulled her in for a deep kiss. She struggled slightly in my arms, but she didn't really push me away. Even the pressure of her fingertips felt like she was giving in. One night, Sophia was sitting at my desk, the lamplight stretching her shadow across the wall. She was chewing on the end of her pen, a flicker of resentment in her eyes, as she calculated the remaining days in her notebook. 13 days left. She muttered to herself, as if giving herself a pep talk. Just 2 weeks. I can get through this. By now, her body had grown accustomed to mine. The initial resistance and shame had slowly morphed into an unspoken familiarity. Even the stiffness when we were in bed together had softened. She kept hoping that once this deal was over, she would be free of me for good. But she had no idea that I had no intention of ever letting this deal end. On the final day, she met me in a secluded spot, demanding results. "This is the last day. You have to delete the photo, like you promised." "Okay," I said, nodding seriously. I took out my phone, unlocked it, and, right in front of her, deleted the picture. I could see the relief wash over her as her shoulders sagged. But in the next second, I opened my photo gallery and swiped to a new picture. It was another one I had taken when she was dazed and lost in pleasure, her eyes glistening. "Sophia, that one's gone. Now, let's talk about this one." Sophia's face went from pale to crimson. You're shameless," she gasped. She never imagined I would pull a stunt like this. One photo was deleted, but there was another. And after this one, there could be a third, a fourth, a fifth. An endless supply. In that moment, she finally understood. She had fallen into a trap I had dug for her, and she was never getting out. Sob. Tears began to stream down her face. She collapsed onto the bed, her shoulders shaking. All you ever do is bully me," she cried. "Hey, what are you talking about?" I said gently, pulling her into my arms and patting her back. "I would never bully you. I can't stand to see you hurt." Then will you please let me go?" She begged through her tears, her arms around me loosening slightly. My answer left no room for hope. I whispered into her ear, enunciating each word. "No, wait." Those two words made her cry even harder. I didn't say anything else. I just leaned in and kissed her, tasting the salt from her tears. I kissed them away from the corners of her eyes, from her red, swollen lips. After a while, her sobs subsided, and her body went soft in my arms that we held each other, just like we always did. Sophia closed her eyes, long lashes still wet with tears, seemingly resigned to her fate. But then, her fingers tightened on my shirt, and I felt her jaw clench. She was going to bite me. But just as she applied pressure, she relaxed. She couldn't even bring herself to hurt me. I knew then what I had known since we were kids. Even when she was furious with me, she could never truly harm me. And that just made me want to hold on her tighter and never let her go. And I definitely wasn't going to let that gold-digging snake get his hands on her. After that, Sophia changed. She stopped asking me to delete the photos. She stopped counting down the days in her notebook. I thought she had finally accepted her fate, but she was just biding her time. She started watching me when I entered my phone password. She tried to sneak a look at my phone when I wasn't paying attention. She was waiting for an opportunity to get into my phone, delete everything, and finally be free. But before she found her chance, the SATs came and went. When the scores were released, Sophia, Leo, and I had all done well, scoring over 1,500. Unfortunately, Sophia and Leo's scores weren't quite high enough for Stanford. I, on the other hand, had exceeded all expectations. We all ended up enrolling at UCLA. Our families threw a joint graduation party for us. It was a huge affair. At the party, my mom pulled Sophia aside, pressed a bank card in her hand, and said with a smile, "Sophia, honey, thank you so much for tutoring Wyatt all this time. Take this and buy yourself something nice." I found out later there was $200,000 on that card. This wasn't a thank you gift. It was a down payment on a daughter-in-law. I immediately felt jealous. Despite being the Archer heir, my allowance never exceeded $5,000 a month. And Sophia just got $200,000? When no one was looking, I pulled her into a quiet hallway and snatched the card from her hand. "I'll hold on to this for you. Don't want you losing it or giving it to someone else." I was terrified she would give the money to Leo. I'd heard he wanted to study abroad, but couldn't afford the tuition. That money was for Sophia, and there was no way I was letting her use it to support another guy. Besides, I still had leverage over her. She wouldn't dare defy me. "Your mom gave that to me. What gives you the right to take it back?" Sophia's eyes welled up with tears, and she glared at me like a kitten whose food had been stolen. "The right of being your man," I said, stuffing the card in my pocket. "Besides, when have I ever let you go without?" She turned her face away, pouting. "Humph. Besides bullying me, is there anything else you know how to do?" I leaned in close to her ear and whispered with a mischievous smile, "Sure. I'm thinking of taking a trip abroad." Sophia's ears perked up, a flicker of hope in her eyes. She was probably thinking she'd finally get a break from me. But then I added, "And don't worry, I'm taking you with me. Aren't you excited?" Her hope shattered instantly. She spun around to face me. "Wyatt, what is it that you even like about me? I'll change it, I swear." "Nope," I said, pinching her cheek, my expression completely serious. "Unless you get gender reassignment surgery, I'm never letting you go." She slumped in defeat, staring at the floor. I knew she had made plans for a graduation trip with some classmates. A trip that included Leo Martinez. There was no way I was letting that happen. Near the end of the party, Leo found her. He was holding a small gift box, his face flushed. "Sophia, I haven't seen you in a few days and I've really missed you." With graduation over, he probably thought it was time to make his move. He held out the gift box. "This is a graduation present for you. I hope you like it." The bracelet inside cost over $1,500. He'd used his scholarship award money to buy it. It was a big investment, but he was probably calculating that a $1,000 gift now could yield a $100,000 return later. Sophia took the box but didn't open it. "Thank you," she said flatly, and turned to leave. Her mind was still reeling from when I had pulled her into the bathroom earlier. I had kissed her so hard her lips were still throbbing. Leo was clearly not expecting this reaction. He stood there, stunned. As she walked away, he called out, "Sophia, don't forget about our trip to Lake Tahoe in 2 days. We're going to have a blast." Sophia paused for a second, but didn't turn back. Her passport was already in my possession. In 2 days, she was flying to the Maldives with me. She wouldn't dare refuse. She was too afraid I'd leak the photos and humiliate her in front of everyone she knew. "Wyatt Archer is the bane of my existence," she thought to herself as she walked away, not giving Leo another glance. Leo watched her go, his expression hardening. He must have sensed that she was slipping away from him. Sure enough, on the day of the trip, Leo waited at the meeting spot for hours. All he got was a text from another classmate. Sophia said something came up. She's not coming. He tried calling her, but her phone was off. His texts went unanswered. Meanwhile, in the Maldives, Sophia was walking barefoot on the beach in a white sundress and oversized sunglasses, the sea breeze whipping through her hair. She looked completely at peace. I followed behind her in a loud Hawaiian shirt, holding her sandals. I draped my arm over her shoulder. "Come on, Soph, give me a smile. Don't look so miserable." "Oomph," she grunted, but didn't shrug my arm off. She kicked at a seashell, then suddenly turned and jumped into the ocean. The salt water splashed my face. I laughed and jumped in after her, splashing her back. She shrieked and dodged, then started splashing me. In the middle of our water fight, I grabbed her wrist and pulled her into my arms, kissing her deeply. At first, she tried to bite me, but as the kiss went on, her body softened and she melted against me. For the next month, we traveled the world. We kissed under the Eiffel Tower, held hands in the Roman Forum, and ate street food in Tokyo. Everywhere we went, I made sure we did all the things couples do, capturing every sweet moment on camera. We only returned to the States when it was time for classes at UCLA to start. Leo saw Sophia for the first time that semester in front of the main humanities building. He had sent her countless texts over the summer, none of which she had answered. He must have been panicking because he decided to make a big gesture. He stood under a large oak tree, holding a bouquet of roses, with a few of his friends there to cheer him on. Before Sophia could even speak, he started singing a cheesy, classic love song. The other students started chanting, "Say yes, say yes." Sophia just stood there, her eyes darting around nervously. That's when I showed up. I held up my phone and waggled it at her. The message was clear. If you say yes, these pictures go viral. Her eyes snapped to me, and her body went rigid. She took a step back from Leo and said softly, "I'm sorry, I'm not looking to date right now." I smiled to myself and slipped the phone back into my pocket. I was bluffing, of course, but she didn't need to know that. Leo's smile faltered, but he tried to play it cool. "That's okay, Sophia. I can wait. I'll wait for as long as it takes." Sophia didn't reply. She just looked down and walked away. Later, she overheard her roommate talking. "Guys are all the same," the roommate said. "Once they've slept with you, they get bored and move on." Sophia muttered to herself, "When he gets bored of me, I'll finally be free." She thought I would eventually get tired of her. But our arrangement not only lasted through all 4 years of college, But after graduation, I got down on one knee in front of her parents and asked her to marry me. She looked at the ring in my hand, then thought about the baby growing inside her. With tears in her eyes, she nodded. But that came later. Back when we started at UCLA, I bought an apartment near campus. Whenever we didn't have class, I'd have Sophia come over. One night, she was curled up against my chest, tracing patterns on my skin with her finger. "Wyatt," she said suddenly, "I think I'm falling for you." I froze. Just yesterday in the library, I'd pulled her into a secluded corner to kiss her, and she'd push me away. What changed? Something wasn't right. I stayed quiet, waiting. Sure enough, over the next 2 weeks, Sophia became incredibly affectionate. She'd pull me into empty classrooms to make out, text me funny things she saw during the day, and be incredibly attentive when we were back at the apartment. She'd even hug me from behind and whisper sweet nothings in my ear. I pretended to fall for it, letting my guard down. I even gave her my phone password when she casually asked. Until one night, I woke up to find Sophia standing over me, holding my phone with a triumphant grin on her face. "Wyatt, you fell for it. I deleted every single picture. All of them. From now on, you have nothing to hold over me," she declared, tossing the phone onto the bed as if a massive weight had been lifted from her shoulders. I just looked at her, giddy with her newfound freedom. I wasn't angry. I got out of bed, took her hand, and led her to a storage closet she'd never been in before. Did she really think it was over? I opened the door. The scene inside made her freeze. The walls, the shelves, even the tables were covered with pictures of us. There were photos from the Maldives, from Paris, from Rome. And there were countless others, the intimate ones she thought she had just deleted. Every single one had been printed out and neatly displayed. "Why? Why did you print all of these?" Sophia's voice trembled. She reached out to tear one down, but I stopped her. "That's not all," I said with a smile. "I have backups of everything on hard drives at my family's house. You think you could delete all of them?" The color drained from her face. She leaned against the wall, speechless. I never told her that I knew she was trying to get my password. I was just curious to see how far she would go to escape me. I never expected her to pretend to be in love with me, just to delete those photos. But it didn't matter. I had a lifetime to make her understand that my feelings for her weren't a threat, but a promise. For 4 years, no one knew we were living together off campus. By day, she was the untouchable campus beauty, occasionally seen eating with Leo in the cafeteria or studying in a library. But at night, she would be at our apartment in my pajamas, curled up on the couch watching movies with me before we went to the bedroom to continue our tutoring. She slowly got used to my possessiveness, and our lives became intertwined with countless shared habits. One evening, Sophia, Leo, and I all ended up at the same mixer. When Sophia arrived, she instinctively bypassed several other students and sat down in the empty chair next to me. Leo followed and sat on her other side. He kept glancing over, trying to rationalize it. "It's nothing," he was probably telling himself. Sophia would never like Wyatt. She just sat with him because they went to the same high school. Sophia had made a close friend at UCLA named Chloe. Chloe had a bit of a crush on me and had added me on social media. She sat down on my other side. During dinner, I noticed Sophia shooting glances at Chloe, who in turn kept encouraging me to drink. Something was up, and I was right. Chloe did like me, and she had confessed it to Sophia. Seeing an opportunity, Sophia encouraged her to make a move on me. It was her idea to get me drunk, hoping Chloe would take me back to my apartment. Maybe, in a drunken state, we'd sleep together. With a new girl in my bed, she, the old one, would be discarded, and she'd finally be free. But even as she rooted for Chloe, her subconscious actions betrayed her. When a tiny crumb of food stuck to the corner of my mouth, Chloe, who had been doting on me all night, didn't notice. But Sophia did. Instinctively, she grabbed a napkin and gently wiped it away from me. It was a habit we'd developed over the years. Only after she'd done it, under the shocked and confused gazes of Chloe and Leo, did she realize what she'd done. Who casually wipes food off a guy's face unless they're intimate? Ah. Sophia had no explanation. She just gave Chloe an awkward laugh, trying to play it off. She was screaming internally. "Stupid hands, stupid brain. Why don't you listen to me?" I was used to it, so I didn't think anything of it. Leo, though clearly unsettled, tried to smooth things over. "Wyatt, don't get the wrong idea. Sophia was just being nice, A girl's instinct to be neat. I glanced at Sophia, but didn't say anything. The incident passed, but more and more details of our private life kept slipping out. She'd use her chopsticks to move the fatty pieces of meat she didn't want from her plate to mine. When I took a sip from her drink, she didn't flinch, just took it back and kept drinking. After everything we'd done together, what was there to be grossed out about? But to Leo and Chloe, these details were bombshells. Leo had never been that familiar with her. But with me, these moments happened so naturally, as if we were a long-term couple. For the rest of the night, Leo's eyes darted between us. The more he watched, the more shocked he became, and the more his heart sank. By the end of the evening, Leo looked absolutely devastated. He had come to a conclusion that he couldn't believe. Sophia was in love with me, and she didn't even know it. Chloe thought the same thing. From her perspective, Sophia was in love, but in denial, pushing her friend towards me while simultaneously enjoying our exclusive, intimate dynamic. Chloe had become a pawn in our game. But was Sophia really unaware of her feelings? Absolutely not. If she truly loved me, she never would have encouraged Chloe to get close to me. All those little intimate gestures were habits formed over years of forced proximity. She was aware of them, hated that she couldn't stop them, but they were ingrained. It must be because of Wyatt's money and status, Leo told himself, vowing, just you wait. I'm going to make something of myself, and I'm going to win you back. After that night, Leo stopped pursuing Sophia. He threw himself into his studies, just like in high school, preparing for the civil service exams after graduation. But making it big isn't easy, and passing those exams is even harder, especially for positions in L. He took the test 3 years in a row after graduating and failed every time. Of course, that was all in the future. Throughout college, Sophia and I maintained our secret relationship. As I became even more attached to her, she started to question her own assumptions. They say guys get bored after they sleep with a girl, but Wyatt's not like that at all. After 4 years, not only was I not bored, but I was more in love with her than ever. She was gentle, beautiful, with an amazing figure. She could be blunt, but she had strong principles. She was the ideal woman for any man, and I was her only exception. Around me, her principles vanished, and her boundaries were constantly broken. At our apartment, she was completely herself. She'd playfully stick her toes in my face or aim her farts at me like they were toxic gas bombs, then giggle. Of course, whenever she did that, she would lose all her human rights and be thoroughly punished by me. Our tacit understanding had reached such a level that with the slightest movement of her hips, I could tell the intensity of an impending fart. Then, just before graduation, something terrible happened. She was pregnant. Sophia was not the type to sleep around. The baby was without a doubt mine. She stormed into my apartment, clutching the doctor's report, and slapped it against my chest. "What is wrong with you? Couldn't you have been more careful?" she accused, blaming me for the unplanned pregnancy. She didn't know I had done it on purpose. "So you're pregnant," I said, glancing at the report, my tone casual. Sophia was furious and embarrassed. "Is that all you have to say? Just because it's not your body, you don't care?" "That's not it," I said, shaking my head. I pulled her into a tight hug and said, slowly and seriously, "Sophia, what I mean is, let's get married." Her expression went blank. She was completely stunned. "Mar, married?" she stammered. "Yeah," I nodded gravely. "Let's get married and have this baby." Sophia had come looking for a fight, and she'd gotten a marriage proposal. Marriage was a word that had never crossed her mind. It was all too sudden. You have to give me some time to think," she said, panicked before running out of the apartment. But I didn't give her any time. By that evening, both our families knew. My parents and I went to meet with hers. Sophia was there, looking like a ghost. I stood up in front of everyone and declared, "The baby is mine. I will take full responsibility. I want to marry Sophia." I was desperate to make it official, to give us both a proper title. Her father was ecstatic. He slammed his hand on the table. "Good. As long as you admit it, I'll make the decision for Sophia. We'll pick a date, and you two will get married as soon as possible." My parents, who already loved Sophia, were thrilled. By the time the wedding date was set, Sophia finally found her voice, whispering to her dad, "Dad, I'm not ready." "What's there to be ready for?" her father said, gesturing toward me. "You've known Wyatt your whole life. You can't go wrong marrying him." Sophia was a dutiful daughter and never went against her parents' wishes. A month later, pouting, she sat in the wedding limo and reluctantly went through with the ceremony. Leo and Chloe were both there. Chloe had a new boyfriend and was long over me. Leo was still studying for his exams. He had expected Sophia and I would end up together, but he never thought it would be so soon. Like many of our classmates, he assumed it was a strategic merger between two powerful families. At the reception, the high school table was buzzing. Wow, I can't believe it. Our queen bee, Sophia Rossi, ended up marrying Wyatt Archer. I know, right? In high school, she was always with Leo. She even rejected Wyatt. And in the end, she marries the rich guy. It's a marriage of convenience, for sure. Someone turned to Leo. Leo, you were so close with her. Why'd she marry him? Is it a business deal like we think? Of course it is, Leo said, his face a mask of tragedy. He stared at us on the stage, exchanging rings. Sophia only married him for now. They'll definitely get divorced later. He believed she would never be happy, that she would eventually come back to him. To be honest, even Sophia wasn't optimistic about our marriage. After all, it was built on my coercion and her resistance. But life is unpredictable. 8 months after the wedding, our first child was born. A chubby, adorable little boy. A few years later, we had a second child. Although our marriage started on rocky terms and we had our share of fights, we never got divorced. Over the years, living day in and day out together, Sophia's feelings slowly changed. She began to rely on me to truly settle into our life together. The business merger Leo was so sure of, his conviction that she would leave me, it never happened. More than a decade later, Sophia and I went to a class reunion and ran into Leo Martinez. He looked exhausted, and seeing us walk in together, acting affectionately, made him look even worse. He had 2 drinks and left early. Later, a classmate told us about his life. He'd been married 3 times. He had eventually passed the civil service exam, but his career had been completely unremarkable. Life isn't a novel. Most people who get a stable government job just stay there. The rags-to-riches stories only happen to a select few. Leo Martinez was no hero. He was just an ordinary man worn down by time. He kept trying to marry rich, but wealthy women weren't stupid. They either weren't interested or divorced him within months. One of them saying his desire to marry for money was written all over his face. Now, he had a bad reputation in his community, and no one wanted to date him. His last divorce happened after he was caught cheating. His ex-wife's family beat him up badly and reported him to his employer. He lost the stable government job he had worked so hard for and was now delivering for DoorDash to make ends meet. After hearing the story, Sophia turned to me, slipped her hand into mine, and squeezed it tightly. Her eyes were filled with a deep, unwavering love. They say time reveals a person's true character. In that moment, Sophia was filled with gratitude. Gratitude for my coercion, for the forceful love I'd shown her all those years ago. It was because of me that she had avoided a disastrous fate. If it hadn't been for me, she would have likely ended up entangled with Leo Martinez, just another one of his 3 unhappy ex-wives.